So, a lot of foods can tend to be villains. We've talked about that on previous podcasts. Today, we're talking about potatoes. Why are potatoes often looked at as villains? Because a lot of people feel like when they eat potatoes, they get fat. They feel like it's horrible for their blood sugar. Well, today, we're going to perhaps bust that myth. We're going to tell you pretty much the truth about potatoes, in that it's really not necessarily the potato itself, perhaps, that's making you overweight or increasing your blood sugar. It's actually in the way you prepare it. So stay tuned. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to yet another Brewer Report. As always, thank you for supporting us. But if you want to support us even more, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, or share, whatever floats your boat, because any type of engagement will just push us out into what they call the algorithm, and it will help other people to discover us. And if you are someone who's currently just listening to us, perhaps the same thing, just like or comment, whatever again floats your boat. We really appreciate that. Now, I said at the top that we're talking about potatoes today. And potatoes, you see them all the time when you go to the grocery store. You see really a variety of them. And we're going to touch on that. We're going to touch on what are some of the best potatoes for you to purchase when you go to the grocery store. But most importantly, we're going to talk about the best way to prepare your potatoes so that it fills you up the most. And because of that, then perhaps helps you keep your weight down because you feel more full. And we're going to speak on how to prevent it from perhaps spiking your blood sugar. But as always, consult with your doctors when it comes to your diet. We, again, are researchers. We are not doctors, but we are providing you with information that perhaps you can share with your doctor so that you're better informed about whatever diet they recommend for you. So, Daddy, let's get into potatoes. First things first is what I just mentioned, the whole fullness of potatoes. But first, let me share my screen here. All right, Daddy. So let's get into potatoes. It's a whole paradox, as you can see with our title here. But first things first is what I mentioned at the top, which is the whole fullness of potatoes. Let's get into that.
Right. Potatoes are some of the most misunderstood foods. But here's the key. Potatoes fill you up. Okay. And we'll talk about calories and weight gain and all of that later. But it's the number one food in terms of filling you up. It's called satiety. Okay. So there's a myth about satiety in that because potatoes actually fill you up doesn't mean that they're adding calories to your system. As you can see, compared to eggs and other foods and pasta and white bread, etc., it gives you that feeling of fullness. And begin when you get full and you feel full, guess what? You're gonna eat less.
Right. So, and I was thinking about this when I was doing my research for this show. You said when you feel full, you eat less. A lot of people, Daddy, as you know, are taking whatever kind of weight loss drug that apparently makes them feel full, and allegedly that's what that is, I guess, what prevents them from overeating. Like it does something to the body. I don't really know all of the specifics, so correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that's what the intent of these new diet drugs are. Is that
Yeah,
correct? So
right. Because so satiety is like a natural calorie control.
so this would be the natural way to do it, is
This
pretty
is the
much the point I'm
natural,
getting to.
right
Yeah.
here is high in satiety. And so it becomes a natural calorie control rather than using a drug, to be honest with you. And so that's what potatoes will do. And people say, well, what about the starch? And we're going to get into that because the starch is really not the problem. It's how you prepare it.
But again, as always, talk to your doctors. I'm not at all telling you not to take a particular weight loss drug. I know there are ads out there, there are celebrities out there uh, strongly recommending them. I'm not here to tell you whether or not to take it, but it just hit me when reading this data that maybe potatoes are a natural way to to feel full and to therefore eat less. All right, so next let's get into the calorie density. Here's that chart. So let's get into that, Daddy.
Yeah. Okay. So this is very interesting, um, because calorie density basically is based on the way you actually prepare your potatoes. Boiled potatoes have a very low calorie density, like 87 per 100 grams. Then you have boiled potatoes. Then you have sweet potatoes. And then they are at the lower end in terms of calorie density. Okay. Next comes white rice, and at about 130 calories per 100 grams. And then you got oven roasted or light oil potatoes, French fries at about 312. But the booger bear in potatoes is potato chips.
Of course, and this is to me the obvious.
Right. Deep fried increases the calories density by 300 to 500%. Okay. The booger bear is potato chips and French fries. And Lord knows I love some French fries. Back in the day, I could eat some French fries out of McDonald's. But I mean, just keeping it real.
I do
French
love
fries,
French fries. Yeah.
and if you eat potato chips, guess what? You are falling into what they call the calorie density trap. Same food, same potato, but it's all in the preparation.
Right, and that gets us into this chart that not all potatoes are created equal, and we see
That's
what's
right.
happening here with the potato chips, and this is
No
the hardest
associated
stuff.
weight gain with plain potatoes, but a significant weight gain with potato chips. That's the strongest predictor of weight gain. Wasn't the potato, it was the potato chips.
And of course, we all love potato chips. Of course, we love snacking on them, but hey, look at that weight gain. Look at this chart. This is the science. We don't make the rules. It is what it is.
It's a paradox, and people there's so many things that are misunderstood about potatoes, and so that's the key.
All right, so next let's get into how do we cook potatoes? It's very clear who the enemy is when it comes to potatoes. Obviously, eating potato chips is not the best way, but let's get into how we prepare potatoes at home.
Right. Steamed, boiled, and then cooled. And we're going to get into cooling a little bit later. It gives you what they call a high resistance starch and minimum acrylamide, which is the cancer causing agent that forms when you fry potatoes, especially when you fry potatoes. And then there's the glycemic index. Now, when you bake them, baking actually creates a sugar in the potato. But it's not. But we're going to talk about how you minimize that. It has a moderate glycemic index, but it has a low acrylamide. But when you fry it, that's when you get into trouble. No resistant starch and high acrylamide and oxidized oil. And we'll talk a little bit more about resistant starch in a minute.
Right. So when it comes to the cooling effect, let's get into that.
Right. What is recommended is this. When you cook your potatoes, it is recommended that you let them cool, because when you let them cool, they create something called a resistant starch. And let me read this. Resistant starch in potatoes acts like a dietary fiber, providing significant health benefits. It forms because it nourishes the good bacteria in your gut and supports digestion. Now, the health benefits of resistant starch is enhanced gut health, blood sugar management, weight management support. How about that? Improve mineral and antioxidant absorption, and reduce disease risk, including type 2 diabetes, cardiovascular disease, and potentially colorectal cancer due to its protective effect on your cells. Now, what it does is when you cool, the resistant starch, when you eat a potato after it has been cooled, it goes all the way down through your small intestines into your large intestines where your potato is now processed. And that's where the resistant starch comes into being. Resistant starch. Think about that, because we think, oh, well, potatoes got all this starch in it. Yes, but when you cool it, it creates this resistant starch, which actually is beneficial to your gut microbiome, improves insulin sensitivity, and lowers your blood sugar response. It's very interesting science on resistant starch.
But then you have the opposite of cooling, and then you have the frying,
Now
which
that's a different
creates
animal.
a toxic, yeah. Which, hate to say it, but everyone loves a good fried French fry. Even though I tend to bake my French fries.
Right. So you're creating the carcinogen. Acrylamide is a carcinogen. The bottom line, it's a probable carcinogen that's formed during high heat cooking, and it oxidizes the lipids or the fats in your potato. And again, it's how you prepare. It's interesting because none of this stuff is really natural to a potato. It is created in the potato the way you process it, the way you cook it. When you cook it this way, you create carcinogens. If you boil it, steam it, even bake it, you don't create this. Now, baking creates a little bit more sugar in it, but again, because of the resistant starch, your body doesn't process it that way if you let it cool. So that's the key. Cook your potato and then let it cool. Now, frying is not going to help you. I don't care what happens. You can cool it all you want. It's not going to help you.
Ooh, I guess RIP to our favorite French fry spots. All right. Well, so let's start ranking these potatoes because, like I said at the top, there are a lot of potatoes that we see at the grocery store. But the Brewer Report, we've come up with our own score for these particular potatoes. This is where we'll talk about the phytonutrients, the glycemic impact, and again, of course, the preparation, which I feel like we've made very clear. You want to boil, cool overnight, and then gently heat it. We'll get more into that cheat sheet here later. But, Daddy, let's get into this hierarchy. First, we start with the gold standard, the gold medalist.
The gold medal goes to the purple sweet potato. Why? The purple sweet potatoes are anthocyanins, are antioxidant, lowers blood pressure, improves endothelial, that's artery function. Also, and because of the high antioxidants, they basically also can play a role in cancer prevention. Like blueberries, it's basically the same pigment. Now, one editorial note: the longest living women in the world were from Okinawa up until recently when they started eating more standard American diet. And these women were living these women had a life expectancy of 93. And one of the staples in their diet was purple sweet potatoes. That's how we found out. That's why we started incorporating purple sweet potatoes into our diet. It's because of the science behind the Okinawan women who this is one of the staples. Now, they also ate more plant-based, but this is one of the staples in their diet. Followed very closely by purple potatoes. There's a difference. When you go to the store, and by the way, you can buy purple sweet potatoes at your Asian markets, Whole Foods, and several Wegmans, several grocery stores now sell purple sweet potatoes as well as purple potatoes. Now, you're not going to lose but so much with purple potatoes, but they score about a 9.5 out of 10 versus a 10 out of 10. But
and to me, they taste the purple potatoes. If you want, I guess, kind of that, well, we just said we're not roasting, we're boiling, right? But let's just speaking in general for cooking, like when you roast potatoes, if you want that kind of less sweet taste, the purple potatoes fit right in there perfectly. But go ahead.
Absolutely. And well, because we steam ours, etc. But because I use them in my smoothies and things. But the key is to let them cool. Let them cool. so that you get some resistant starch in them. They don't have it quite as much as the white potatoes. We'll get into that a little bit later. But they clearly, I'm eating these potatoes for the anthocyanins and the antioxidants because that's extremely important.
Absolutely. Now, number 3 and number 4 on the list. We start with number 3, which is the orange sweet potato, a very popular potato, but the way we eat these during Thanksgiving is not recommended.
No.
Dipped
Not with
in
all
tons
that
of
butter and stuff
sugar.
on it.
Yeah, tons of sugar and butter and fried in a pan or baked with marshmallows.
Oh God. Anyway, so orange sweet potatoes are right behind the purple. Why? Because of the pigment, the beta carotene. Beta carotene is an extremely important antioxidant, but you got to eat it in a healthy way. You can bake it, you can steam it, but importantly, you eat it with a healthy fat, which is like an olive oil or something like that. Don't eat it with that butter. That butter, no, that's not a healthy fat. Okay,
And I have to
that's
say,
not.
I actually, you're right, it's not a healthy fat, but I have to say, I personally love a good plain orange sweet potato and a purple sweet potato, but I don't have a significant sweet tooth. But to me, it's perfectly fine, just as is, and perfectly sweet. And as my dad said, maybe add a little fat to it at this point. But again, your taste buds can change. You may be used to that, that sugary sweet potato taste. And I'm not by any means saying that's not a satisfying meal. I grew up eating it and eat it during Thanksgiving sometimes. But in terms of just everyday eating, that baked or boiled orange sweet potato or purple sweet potato really, to me, satisfies perfectly.
Absolutely. Now,
Just as is.
right,
As is. But go
right.
ahead.
Number 4 is red potatoes. Okay, now keep in mind if there's a trend here, pigment, purple, orange, now red.
That
Okay,
melanin.
that pigment. Yeah, okay, melanin. All right. So anyway, red potatoes are lower in glycemic index and high in moisture, but best in a vinegar-based salad because that helps you absorb a lot more of the nutrients in it. But eat it with the skin. The key here is eat that with the skin. Okay, eat the
Oh, so
red. Yeah, eat the red potato with the skin, so you get the benefits of it.
So wait, well, again, I do eat again, like I said, orange sweet potatoes as is, but I'll eat the skin with that too. Should I not be?
No, you can eat it with the skin, but
Okay.
the way to eat it with the skin is to steam it so that the skin
Okay.
isn't as tough. Okay,
Okay.
look, you can steam it and then maybe you can do a combination with that, steam and then bake it. But the key is you want to make that skin less tough. There are a lot of nutrients in the skins of potatoes. Period.
For all of the potatoes, right? Because
Yes,
I don't know.
all of the
Okay.
potatoes.
Okay.
And one of the keys to that is the fiber. Okay,
Mhm.
the skin brings the fiber into play. Remember, fiber is king and queen.
Yes.
Right.
It sweeps all the bad out your body.
That's right. So you want to eat all of these potatoes with the skin if at all possible.
All right, so let's get into these other rankings, which is quite frankly probably the most popular. Well, I don't know. Hard to say which is the most popular potato, but you tend to see these often. Yukon Gold and Russet.
Yes. Now these must be boiled and cool. Okay. Let's cut to the chase. They got to be boiled and cool. Never eat them as fries or chips. They have the highest starch content and the highest glycemic spike. Okay. I used to love them, but but again, if you're going to cook them, make sure that you cool them because you get the resistant starch. Okay. And so that's extremely important. That's how you minimize the effects of the glycemic spikes as well as weight gain.
And that's the key. Everyone is trying to prevent that weight gain.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, in general, this was a lot of information, but we have come up with a cheat sheet for you just to kind of wrap this all up. So here's the 60-second cheat sheet. So let's reiterate everything, Daddy, again.
Okay. Eat this, not that. Okay. Boiled and cool purple or red potatoes. Not that. French fries and potato chips.
All
Pair
the
with
good stuff.
vinegar. Pair with vinegar, lemon, and greens. Do not add, not that. No butter, no butter loaded mash. Gentle reheating. And that's very interesting, because and then bacon and cheese toppings. Don't do that. So
The best thing
one of the,
ever.
I know, but here's the key. I asked the reason. I went and did a little bit more research. They said, okay, fine. I don't want to eat a cold potato. Okay, I got you, Brewer, on the resistant starch. You let it cool. You get the resistant starch, but I'm not going to eat a cold potato.
I'm
Can I
glad you're saying
reheat it?
this. Yeah, I'm
Right,
glad you're
because
saying this.
can I reheat it? Yes, you can. Gently reheat it. Don't take it all the way back up to 212 degrees. Okay, in the oven. Take it up to maybe 100, 120, 130 degrees. Fine. Then the gentle reheating keeps the resistant starch in place. And I've gone down that list of things for resistant starch. Glycemic index. It even gets deeper. Resistant starch even helps with colorectal cancer. We talked about colorectal cancer in a previous podcast. So it's all in the way you prepare. That's the bottom line. Cooling turns a carb bomb into a superfood. Period. Cool it, and then you can reheat it slightly.
Cool it now is New Edition.
New
Once
Edition song.
popularly said. Once said back in the day.
All right.
I mean, hopefully we're giving you some great tips here. And like we've always said, we're very practical here. We know that people will probably eat French fries again in their lives. They will probably eat mashed potatoes with butter. You're definitely going to eat some yams during the holiday season. You may even occasionally have a loaded baked potato. But really for us, it's about what do you eat most of the time? What do you eat daily? Because quite frankly, I think out of all of the not that I would eat the most would be the French fries. Maybe, and I guess we would say chips. Those can be to me the most dangerous because you could easily eat those almost every day. So hopefully what we're sharing with you will prevent you from doing that. In other words, the not that should, if of course, ideally never, but I would just say in moderation, realistically. And honestly, if you can take some regular potatoes, this is what I actually used to do back in the day, and I would chop them up like they are French fries, and then I would bake them like I said earlier. I would bake my French fries. I would not fry them. But I guess now with this knowledge, I know baking is in the middle. It's not the most ideal, but we're talking about French fries here. I don't want boiled French fries, I'm being honest. So I may have to bake them. And then, as my dad said, let them cool overnight, which actually I kind of used to do. I actually used to freeze them. I would chop them up, bake them, and then freeze them and then reheat them. But I know you're telling me to gently reheat them, right? But
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give people ideas here how to still
Gentle
get their
reheating.
craving.
Yeah, gentle reheating is fine. And I mean, let's go. Now we're practical. If you're going to eat some of the foods on the right, lead with some fiber, lead with a salad, lead with something, so that you absorb all of that saturated fat. I'm not going to tell you I'm never going to eat some French fries. I eat fish. I eat fried fish twice a month. So I'm not. No one's going to tell you not to do this. And the Lord knows if you have children, you're going to end up at McDonald's. They're going to get some French fries. Period. I mean, that's just it. Okay, but get them an apple, get them something with some fiber so that it doesn't get into their system and create problems later on in life. This lead with fiber, lead with some veggies. Period. That's where
Lead
you
with
have to do that.
fiber. Right, lead with fiber when you eat these things.
Right.
And the
Absolutely.
key I'm telling you is when should be at a minimal. Again,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not of the team of never, never eat these things. I mean, again, that's your choice. But
Right.
again, we're just being practical. I'm more saying try not to have these things be a daily thing because I really feel like a lot of the problems in America in our diets is just the accumulation. Like there are people who eat these things every day. They'll eat
Yeah.
burgers and fries every day, chips every day. So let's take the daily out of it. Let's say once a month you may have some French fries. So do as my dad just suggested. Lead with an apple.
Or
Or
even you can even try once a week or so, but if you lead with something, lead
or
with
if you
some fiber.
can, or
Right.
if it really is a craving for you, because I'll be honest, I love French fries. Why do you think I was chopping up potatoes and making my own? So if it's just something you really have to have a lot of, then do really try to do what we said. Eat this, like bake it, cool it, and gently reheat it. And ideally, actually, for like if you're eating like a whole potato, boil that for sure. I can't say boil the French fries, Daddy. I don't know. I I can't
Oh,
say that.
no, I mean, what the word is fries.
Exactly. So for the French fries,
Yeah,
to me, you got to bake them. But for the whole, like sweet potatoes, all those things, boil them, cool them, and then to me, that is a great snack.
absolutely, absolutely. And so it is what it is. Uh, so I like I said, I'm a big purple sweet potato guy. And whenever I eat any other potatoes now, I know exactly how to prepare them and still get some satiety. That's the key word, satiety. I mean, potatoes will fill you up. They create this thing called resistant starch. Of course, if you fry them, they don't create resistant starch because you can't recover from that. But the bottom line is, as I said, just pull everything that we've given you and pull it together. Lead with fiber. Lead with something that has fiber, salad, beans, etc. Just lead with that. And then your body will, in essence, uh, mitigate some of the effects of some of these, quote, favorite foods that you may have. So just lead with fiber.
Yes, because it's an uphill battle in America. It really is. Like like our previous show, we talked about just how much ultra processed foods that are out there, and potatoes is a part of that, as we mentioned with the potato chips. So hopefully, this cheat sheet and all the tips we've given you will help you on your journey to living a healthier life. Well, that's our show for today. As always, again, be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And we will check you next time. Peace.